I'm AJ Keller. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Neurosity. Neurosity is this amazing company that I've created over the past 6 years or so. It's part of like a decade-long work where sort of taking a lot of the struggles that I've gone through with my own mental health, whether that's depression, that I've gotten gifted genetically, or ADHD, or anxiety, and how we can really leverage that to create a future where we can lift someone out of depression and unleash a very empathetic person into the world. And we've been able to live at a time where this future is possible. So we can sort of talk about that a little bit.
Go ahead.
Okay. So today I really want to just highlight this idea of where Big Pharma has a really big blind spot, and they're sort of my enemy. They're my Goliath. And it's this really big opportunity where there's almost 1 billion people across the world that are living with mental health issues. Every single time I go and talk, a person comes up to me and talks about how their family member has this affliction, how they tried all these different medications, maybe psychedelics worked, but there's really this whole clouded understanding of what is going to be successful in treating a lot of these people. And really, you talk to a psychologist, and the big issue is that we're poking around. We don't have the tools. The average consumer doesn't have the tools to actually see what's going on inside their mind. If you have a heart condition, you're given a blood pressure monitor, and you're able to take that, and you're able to then tell your doctor, hey, it's going down, or hey, it's going up, or it's staying the same. But we don't have that capability when it comes to mental health. And so that's really where we see this big opportunity. And so what we've been able to create at Neurosity is leveraging reinforcement learning to essentially predict what sounds a person needs to hear in order to shift their brain activity. And the brain is incredibly interesting in that when a person attenuates to or listens to a specific sound, their brain starts to amplify that sound. And when the brain amplifies that, it creates cascading rhythms, and you can actually learn to predict what sounds you need to put into someone's ears in order to elicit this. And so what we've been able to do is create a solution for people with ADHD, people who are inattentive, really love to use this product, where they're able to focus every time before they start on a task. And it's something that has been used across hundreds of different people. We've created a data set of now across 500 different people, over 5,000 sessions of people sitting down, putting our headset on, and getting focused. And this is all possible thanks to this whole system where you put your headset on, you put your headphones on, you open an app, and you select the desired mental state. And that's something that we've been able to really create, and that's because of this brain that we all have is essentially like a radio station, and it's emitting different electrical activity, and this major electrical activity is actually indicative of major mental states. So if you take any person, and we started with programmers, for example, when they start to, when they sit down and start working, when they get into this flow state, the amount of gamma activity across their head increases linearly based on the complexity of the task. When we also found is that if they're in a more anxious state, they're not able to get focused, and they just become more anxious. So if you try to amplify this brain activity that is required to be focused at the wrong time, you can actually make the person feel more uncomfortable. But if you instead intervene and the AI system learns that, hey, we need to increase their mindfulness and take them off of this anxiety level before we enter them into a flow state, now all of a sudden we have the ability to help that person be able to focus. So the brain is not this finite state machine, or it's more of this finite state machine where you're shifting from one state into another, but in order to possibly get from your anxious state into a flow state, you actually have to pass through a mindful state first before going into that flow state. It's not like the brain at any given moment can enter any state it wants to. You actually have to learn to predict what state that person's in and how to leverage all of their previous data in order to get them into that desired state. And so we really started with productivity. And then we found out that you can't make people productive if they're in an anxious state, so we launched this meditation. And now we have this whole neuroadaptive meditation where you're in a guided state where you're listening to someone tell you, hey, close your eyes and take a deep breath. but maybe the AI will actually learn that you need to hear welcome to a breathing meditation. We're going to walk you through a 10-minute exercise. And every single thing that the user actually hears is predicted by an AI. And so it's dynamically changing, and every single time you do a session, it's dynamic and unique to you. So we're essentially learning, based on all of this person's previous data, what does this person need to hear in order to shift into a mindful state? And this is all really part of this massive, health market where we can be luckily grouped into this general wellness category where we're not, stimulating the brain through electrical currents. We're using audio, which a person loves hearing music. And if you play the right song for a person at the right time, they have this transformational shift very quickly. And, we're not cutting open a person's brain. We're simply sitting on top of it. So the FDA really favors this type of stuff and categorizes it as general wellness. So it's really this whole concept of, can we take these wearables and leverage the fact that AI can learn these patterns and learn what stimuluses actually create relative change in biomarkers? And then can we package that in a consumer form factor so that your Oura Ring is no longer just tracking your sleep, but it's actually learning to predict, what things you can do in that moment to change your sleep patterns the next night and not reflecting on last night's data. And I think that's really where a lot of the wearables today have fallen short, is that they're sort of just tracking, but they're not being predictive in the moment. And so when a user has a device that actually provides that feedback and provides that high ROI that, actually modifies their next behavior, they really love to use it, and they remember to use it every single day, even if it's something they've never used before. And so, this is part of a team. It's a small team. It's a startup out of San Francisco. We've got a couple really good contractors that we work with, but we've been doing this for a good amount of time. And the next device that we're working on is something that's pocket-sized, fits all head shapes, costs around $200. I've got like a little prototype in my pocket of it right here. It just sticks to your head. And it's something that's naturally intuitive. I can tell my mom, hey, just stick this to your temple and go. And that's really where we need to push this forward because head shapes are incredibly diverse, but we need to create products that work on everybody, that are easy to use and portable. And that's really where we're moving to, is this really low-cost form factor. And that's it. Thank you so much.